All right, welcome. We're going to go ahead and start because they tell me even though we're late starting, I have to finish on time, which means I got to fly. And so I will do the best I can, and if I skip some slides, you want to talk to me later and ask me what was on that slide, I might remember. My name is Jack Stigler, and I am a volunteer for SCORE, which is a resource partner of the Small Business Administration and the United States Department of Agriculture. We work with all small businesses and with farmers and ranchers to help them successfully establish their businesses. We are a partner with BECU. We work together with them. They support us financially. I am myself personally, I have a corporate background, a division manager for Fortune 500 company in admin and IT. I also own a small family business, 16 employees for about 20 years. I was then, after I retired, I served as the CEO and chairman of a mid-sized company down in Lacey, Washington. And I've taught at the Seattle City University in the School of Business. I taught the capstone for the MBA program. And if that doesn't impress you, I have a degree in theology, and I got some sermons I could deliver tonight if that. So I kind of cover all the bases. So thank you for being here. And I learned one thing quickly tonight. I learned that I have a lot in common with BECU, because I found that BECU was formed in 1935. And I was founded in 1935, born in 36, but founded in 35. So we have that in common. Okay, so the objectives tonight are to, first of all, talk about what it takes to all the different kinds of things you should think about when you're starting a business. And we'll go through those as quickly as we can, but we're going to talk about what is your success, what is it going to take to be successful, the various factors that come into play. And I've been doing this for SCORE for 20 years, and I have worked with, I can actually say, thousands of small business startups in that 20 years. And so I've seen just about every one thing that can happen, and I know really what it takes to be successful. So what defines a successful business? Well, it begins with a product or service that people want. Does it fill? And we're going to talk a little bit later about the customer and fulfilling needs. But basically that's what you're going to do. You find that you have a customer, and the customer has a need or a problem that you have the ability to solve. And most important, you have the ability to solve that problem and make money in doing it. Now, just being able to solve the problem doesn't mean it if you can't make money. So you want to have a profit. You want to be able to make a profit. So you do that by having an agreed-to price, and then obviously your profit is what's left over after everybody else has been paid. We know what profit is. So is your business a service? It can still be a service or a product or a service or the same kind of business. The same things will apply to all of those. So what does it take to be successful? Well, we say passion. And in the last year or two, the last couple of years, there's been a lot of talk about the fact that when they find out people who have been extremely successful in business, many of them tell you they're doing something they love to do. And so that's what they're saying now. If you really want to be successful, find something you really love to do and make a business out of it. Don't just grab something that you see out there that you can make money, because you're more likely to be successful if it's something you love. So do you have what it takes to be successful? Well, first of all, you talk about finances in order. And I probably will repeat this later on, but I can tell you that most small businesses fail, not because the person doesn't have a good idea, not because there isn't a market. The most small businesses will fail because they run out of money. And that's the most important thing. You must have enough capital to finance your way through the early startup years. And if you don't have that, the chances are you're going to have some difficulty. So you also must have basic management skills, people, and then you want to have a team, and we'll talk about the team later on tonight, the kind of people that you need to surround yourself with. But you really need to have basic planning skills, and that's one of the things I find when I go with people. I help them go to the bank and apply for their business financing. Invariably, they will try to sell themselves to the banker on the basis I'm the best plumber in the North End. Well, the banker really doesn't care that you know how to fix toilets. The banker wants to know, do you know how to run a business? because that's what's going to make you successful. So you want to have skills and able to manage people and money and make a plan. So why do people want to start businesses? Well, a lot of times these are the reasons that probably aren't going to work, and I won't read them all to you. But you can if they're negative reasons, like I don't like my boss, or I'm bored, or I want all my free time, probably that's not going to be the best reason to start. Positive reasons, I want to be my own boss. You hear that all the time. Sometimes people find out they've become their own boss and they don't like it now. They wish they had a boss to tell them what to do. But you have to be comfortable with risk. And I used to define, people used to ask me all the time, or still ask me, what is your definition of an entrepreneur? Well, an entrepreneur to me is a workaholic risk taker. You have to be able to wanting to take risk. So these are really good reasons for wanting to start a business, provided you have the right one. And then, is it a marketable idea? Again, is something that people want, and it's really important that this thing solve a problem. And I'm kind of rushing here, but I'll get back to some of these things in a little bit more depth in a few minutes. So, is it a marketable idea? Is it something that people are going to be satisfied? Is there a benefit there? They talk about leads to a stream of products. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to do that, but it would help if you could have more than one product or one service. Are there barriers to entry? In other words, is it too costly? You can't get financing? Are there patents that you can't have access to? It really depends a lot on what your idea is. Is it realistic, and can it be produced to a service? Now, you might say, well, I'm going to fly people to the moon. I know I can make a lot of money doing that, but if you probably don't have the resources, the ability to do it. So that's just not a marketable idea. So you have to identify who you are, your product, your service, who will utilize it, and so forth. Now, one of the things if I want to leave you with tonight is, if you're really thinking about going into business, there's a marvelous resource that you have, and it's your local library. SCORE is partnered with the Snohomish Library system here in Snohomish and Island counties, and we work very closely with the research librarians. And I can tell you, they can give you more information than you ever could use on first of all, on your competition and on the demographics of your customers. So if you have any ideas and you're trying to get information about your market or who your customers are, please go to the library, and they've got a great thing they call Lease a Librarian, or Rent a Librarian, Reserve a Librarian, Book a Librarian for an hour. You can book a research librarian at the Snohomish Libraries for an hour, and they will sit down and take you through all their research tools. And it will be a great help to you to find out if you're curious. For example, there's a program called Reference USA. And Reference USA is a wonderful program. You can go in, for example, and you sit down and you put in, I want to open a coffee shop. And you can put in the address where you want your coffee shop to be. And that program will tell you how many coffee shops there are, say, within that zip code, or within a mile, or within the county. And it not only will tell you how many there are, it will tell you what their gross sales are, will tell you how many employees they have, and who the owner is. So you can get all kind of great information about your potential competition. Same way for demographics, when you want to know who your customers are, and you want to know how many single women between the ages of 28 and 50 live in the particular area. You can go in and look at the demographics, and they'll bring that up for you at the library. So please use your library. So we talk about marketing, a marketing plan. Well, first of all, we have to identify who you are, what you're going to do, and then they say do the SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, and so forth, so that you know what you're up against and what value you bring, and then who your target market is, and where your target market and your offerings come to intersect. In other words, my target market needs these offerings. And then look for a unique selling idea, and then refine your idea, and then you have your marketing plan. We right now, there's a new trend in business that I am a great proponent of. It's called the lean startup. And the lean startup says, take your idea, develop an idea, and then take it out to your customers. In other words, look at your customers, show the customers what your idea is, what your product is, what your service is going to be, before you invest a whole lot of money. And it used to be when we had an idea for a business. Then we wrote a very, very complex, large business plan. Then we took the business plan out to investors, and we got a whole bunch of money. And then we started building our product, or we built our building, and we got our services already. And then we opened up for business, only to find out that what we were doing isn't what the customer wanted. And now we've wasted all that money. So the idea now is stop. As soon as you got an idea, go out and do the best you can to solidify that idea. And we call that the lean startup. Lean not because it's cheap, lean because you're not spending a lot of money before you actually get feedback from your customers. So we talked about, again, I'm going to skip this because we talked about going to the library and getting a lot of this information. So this is all information you'll be able to gather at the library or from other sources. So putting it all together, and then you do your business planning. And as Benjamin Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you're going to plan to fail, and that's true. So many people come to us, and they've got an idea, but they haven't done any planning. They haven't done their research. They haven't done their financials. And you really have to do that, and I know it's a pain. And so I taught the capstone, as I said, at the university, which was write a business plan, where the graduate students took all their ideas and put them together in a business plan. And it was a big, big business plan. And my students used to say, well, you grade by the pound. Well, that's what people think of when they think about the business plan. But in the last 2 years or so, we have a new concept that I am a great proponent of and I've had a lot of fun with, and it's called the Lean Canvas. The Lean Canvas in fact, I'm giving a class tomorrow night called the one-page business plan. And what it is we say, okay, we're not going to, before we go write all this great big business plan, we're going to do this one-page checklist in which we're going to fill out these 9 boxes. And in these 9 boxes, we're going to be, people say, well, there's not enough room to write. Well, that's the idea. We want succinct, quick answers in those boxes. And you start, you say, okay, who are my target customers are going to be? And that's tied in with the box on the far left, and what 3 problems do they have that I think I can solve? So I've got customers, they have a problem or they have a need, and how can I solve that, and do I have a solution for that? So if I do, I put my solution in the box, this second from the right. You can see it, that's the solution, the top 3 solutions that I have that are going to solve the needs of my potential customers. And then the center box, your unique value proposition, is the most important at all. And basically, without a lot of frills, what it says is, why are my solutions better than anybody else's? Do I have something unique about what I'm going to do? When I was teaching college, we called that differentiation. Why is my product different than anyone else's? And so you continue to fill out this form, and when you're finished, you talk the channels, how you're going to get it to the customer, what your charges are going to be, how you're going to charge, what's your major costs that are going to be incurred. And in key metrics, how are you going to measure if you're successful? And that's another important thing, because people always say, well, I'm going to measure success if I make money. Not necessarily. Maybe you won't make money the first year. So what other methods of measurement will you have? Is it maybe you're an online business, you're going to start measuring how many hits you had on your website, how many customers bought the first time they came to the website? It isn't all just profit and loss that will determine if you're going to be successful, because it's quite possible that you're making money, but you ought to be making a lot more. So you want to have metrics to measure your success or failures by that are not just profit and loss. So you finish this form, and it's a great tool to use, and you can do the first rush through it in probably an hour, and then you keep it and you keep modifying it and you keep it up to date. You know, the old classic business plan. The problem with it was, yeah, okay, 10 minutes. They're already yelling at me back there. I'm over. No, you keep that, and it's just a great tool. So I'll move along here. Okay. So there's the classic business plan. I won't spend a lot of time on that, but it's a big thing. It's got many sections and so forth. So the next thing we want to talk about is you need a bail team. So a banker, accountant, insurance, and legal. Every new business is faced with a bunch of financial and regulatory obstacles. Now, does every business need all 3 of those? Absolutely not. But you certainly, if you're going to go into business, you will have some sort of a banking relationship, because IRS wants you to keep your cash in a separate account. So as you go, before you start your business, you want to start establishing relationships with your banker. and whatever, and let them know who you are, and that they, they've had good experience with you from a personal standpoint. So that they can be very, very important to you. So establish a relationship with your banker. An accountant can help you determine they'll do some of the work towards determining your legal structure, but this is one of the most important things you will do, is determine what kind of business you're going to be, whether you're going to be a proprietorship, a partnership, an LLC, a C Corp, or an S Corp. And that kind of help you can get from your accountant. That's the kind of thing that we do with SCORE all the time. We will help you determine what's the best legal entity for you to be. And the one thing I will comment is that a sole proprietorship is not a legal entity. If you're a sole proprietor, the legal entity is you. And so we now have the ability to form a limited liability company. We really encourage everybody at the minimum to be a limited liability company, because it costs you $200 and you've got that wonderful protection from liability, the same protection that stockholders and corporations and officers and corporations have. So you want to talk to people and get the recommendations on what kind of a legal entity you will be. And they'll help you organize your books and so forth. One of the things that I see all the time that bothers me, people come to me and they got this small little business, very simple business, and they went out and bought QuickBooks. Well, now they're going to have to learn how to be an accountant to use QuickBooks. So I really encourage you not to overdo in your record keeping. And we can help you with that too. So in insurance, every business needs insurance. You will face liability. If you're using your car in business, you have to be careful about that. If you have a business in which you have a lot of inventory, you might want to go beyond the legal liability and cover the property liability on your inventory and so forth. But an independent or an insurance agent can help you a lot. You can go visit with them, tell them what you're doing, and they will have the ability to give you a policy. And I will tell you that most of you will be very pleasantly surprised at how inexpensive a simple little business owner's policy is. A lot less probably than your homeowner's policy. So then do you need a lawyer? Depending if you've got some complex legal structure, you probably do. Or if you're going to have a stock offering, obviously you do. But you may be able to get by, at least initially, without engaging in a lawyer. Now, if you have patents, trademarks, well, particularly patents, trademarks, and copyrights, you can somewhat do yourself, but patents, you certainly need a patent attorney. And that statement up there, representation in lawsuits, scares me. I don't want to even think about why would we going to have a lawsuit right off the bat in our brand new business. So and don't forget your financing. You may need financing. You have to worry about your cash flow. And that's one of the most important words up there, is the word cash flow, because it's the most misunderstood. You can have a profitable business that is in trouble because you don't have cash flow. What does that mean? It means that your business on the books is showing a profit, but your money is all tied up in things like accounts receivable or inventory or other things where you don't have access to your cash. You're still the record shows you're making a lot of money, but there's no access to your cash. So you want to be really careful about when you think about cash flow. I went back to the Jersey Shore after Hurricane Sandy and worked with a lot of the small business people to help them get their grants and so forth. And that's the thing that FEMA and everybody else is asking for, is cash flow statements. And most business people don't know how to fill one out, and I understand that. So keep in mind, cash flow is really important. So where do you get money? You can get money from a whole variety of places. Grants, I don't know why they have grants up there, because in my 20 years, I have never helped anybody get a grant. Their grants are so specific and so channeled that it's very, very difficult to get a grant for anything unless you've got something really specific that someone wants to finance. But the development lenders, startup competitions, you can borrow money against your house. The SBA lends, the SBA, people talk about, I'm trying to rush and I'm sorry. The SBA is a lender. It's not really. The SBA is a guarantor of loans. There is no such thing as an SBA loan. If you go to BECU and you ask for a business loan, BECU may say, we would like to guarantee this through the Small Business Administration. And they'll present it to the SBA, and the SBA will come back and say, you will guarantee 60-70% of that loan, meaning that if you default on the loan, then 70% of the default will be paid by the Small Business Administration. But the loan is still with BECU. You will be paying BECU. It will be a BECU loan. It'll just be guaranteed by the Small Business Administration. That's not true for the United States Department of Agriculture. When they lend money in the agriculture area, they're a direct lender, but the SBA is just a guarantor. And then don't forget your financing again. The 5 C's of credit: collateral, character, commitment, and cash flow. Character is extremely important. And when we write up, I kind of alluded to it earlier, when we write up a proposal for the bank, we spend a lot of time convincing, in the executive summary, convincing the banker that we are a qualified person, that we have the ability to manage a business and so forth, because we're going to sell ourselves, because that's very important. They look at that. And then again, they're going to, as I said, they're going to look at cash flow. Is your business going to generate the cash flow so that at the end of each month you have the money to make the payment? And it's not all tied up in various and sundry receivable accounts and so forth. So we have other options, crowdfunding, if you have a product that sometimes will work. Few and far between. Angel investors and venture capitalists are the same thing. The only difference between an angel and a venture capitalist is that the angel picks their business. They want to they want to pick how their money's invested. If you want to invest in a venture, you give your money to a venture capital firm, and they decide how they're going to invest your money for you. But if you're an angel, you make your own decisions. Now, you may be part of an angel group, and the group makes the decision, but you're part of that decision-making process. And so, are you going to go out and sell stock and so forth? So pitfalls: no capital. So there's opportunities to mitigate those actions. Lack of general management, finance, and marketing skills. We talked about that. You have to sell the bank on that. Poor planning. You didn't really go through and think the whole process through. And then unaware of federal, state, and local regulations. We help people with that. We can help you with an awful lot of these things up there. We work. I spend a lot of my time helping nonprofits set up. Because, you know, a nonprofit is kind of a misnomer, because a nonprofit business can make a profit. They're just restricted on how they're allowed to use the profits. So utilize technology, use it to help in every way you can. We all know, but you have QuickBooks and Excel and so forth. Use those kinds of technologies in your business if you can. If not, find someone to help you with it. So, okay, so as I said earlier, you want more information. We are Greater Seattle SCORE. We have a branch here in Snohomish County. There's 23 volunteers here in Snohomish County. There's 100 in the Seattle branch, and there's 11,000 in the United States. And I guarantee you, we have somebody in the SCORE organization that has the skill you might need. And if you come to me and I don't think I can help you, and there's a lot of things I can do, there's some things I'm not very good at. For example, I don't know much about restaurant menus. And so if you come, I can find somebody who does. And we work really hard to try to match people with our folks that have skills. So you can go out and you request a mentor. You go to that site and you just say, I want a mentor. You tell them what you want. It gets printed out down in the Seattle office, and they look down there and decide who they're going to assign it to. And it'll be based on your need and where you're located and so forth. So, and then there's other resources. Well, there's the National SCORE office. The Northwest Innovation Resource Center is up in Bellingham. They're good people, and they specialize in helping you get innovations patented and brought to market. But I mean, it has to be something unique. It has to be something that's new to the market, and they can help you bring it to market. The Washington State Business Development Center, the SBDC, it works with high-end issues. State of Washington Combined Business Organization. This is a great website, incidentally. It's brand new. It's business.wa.gov. And what they've done is they've have a one-stop website that combines all the state agencies into one. So you can go to one website and you can find everything. It'll take you to all the different things you need to do within the state of Washington to set up a business. And we're part of this effort. We are beginning to add the county and city information to that. So that if you go to that website and say, I want to start a business, it's going to be in the state of Washington, and I'm going to be working in the city of Everett, it will actually include the information about doing business in the city of Everett in that one single website. It's not there yet, but it's on its way. And then the 3 libraries that serve this area are really important. So now I think is when I'm supposed to ask you if you have questions. Yes?
Just a quick note, King County Library System, that's for King County, California. King County locally is the King County Library System. Their website is kcls.org, not kingscountylibrary.org.
Okay, well,
Just a note.
well it's a BECU slide. So. That's a cop-out, right? Thank you for letting us know that. I didn't know that. So, anybody else have any questions? Or I'm sorry we had to rush through this, and I don't know. Are we on time? Just
right on time.
Right on time. Okay.
That was impressive.
If any of you have any questions, see me afterwards. I'll give you my card.
Oh no, on time for questions.
What?
You were on time for questions. You were like flying.
Okay.
We have time for questions.
Yes.
Farid Rasuli, and you talked about the score and those mentoring programs that you are they at the fee or free of charge?
They're all free. Yeah, everything. Well, not everything we do. We have some high-end workshops that we give down in Seattle. We also are bringing some of the Seattle workshops up to Snohomish County. On the 3rd Thursday of the month, we're doing specialized workshops at the Economic Alliance Snohomish County building at 128th, and it's just 3 blocks off of 128 and I-5. So we're trying to get that started so people don't have to go down to Seattle for all the workshops. We also do a lot of workshops. I personally do many workshops at the local libraries, probably one every other Saturday, and some weeknights mixed in. I'm doing a workshop at a library on a whole variety of subjects. Our most popular workshop that I get crowds for is starting a home-based business. That seems to, the library people, the people who frequent libraries seem to find that a very attractive workshop, so I get pretty big turnouts for those. So, anybody else?
Where's the best place to find those?
On the Snow Isle Library website.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go to there and you go to events, they also have a business center, and those workshops. It's part of their Business Pro series. Are listed there's a business header, and if you go to the business center on Snow Isle Libraries, or if you go to the individual libraries, they're all listed under the events. So, any other questions?
I have one more.
Yeah, you're welcome.
At SCORE, do you all have any particular mentoring for young business starters who are, millennials and younger than that, 20, I don't know, 21?
You mean helping them, or people that's of that age group to help?
Both.
Well, we're working really hard to attract younger mentors, but the problem you have is that people are working and they don't have the time. We do have some. We have a number. I have a number. Let's see, I'm the branch manager for Snohomish County. We have 22 up here. I think 6 of the 22 are still employed. And they give one of my mentors is the senior vice president of commercial lending for one of the banks. But he donates one afternoon a month, and he works in one of the libraries and sees 4 clients. And that's his, so that's what he does. He doesn't do anything more than that. But that's great. I'll take all those I can get. So. And particularly with his skills and everything. So, but we are trying to we are slowly becoming a lot more inclusive from a woman's standpoint. We're SCORE. It used to stand for the Service Corps of Retired Executives. But what does that do? It conjures up a bunch of old white guys, right? And that's what we used to be. When I joined 20 years ago, that's what SCORE was a bunch of old white guys. Now we're about 30% women, and we have the last 5 applicants that I've had for this branch were all minorities, racial minorities. So it's changing, and I've got just a whole variety of people, a very interesting group of folks coming up. So, okay, well, I guess that's it then, and thank you, and I apologize very much. I can do a workshop similar to this and take 2 hours. I've done 2 hours, and I've had it go over over 2 hours. I do a workshop, so steps to starting a new business in the state of Washington, and as I say, it runs pretty long because we get a little more in depth on the state agencies and the state licensing requirements and the local licensing requirements and so forth.
Could you repeat your name again,
It's Jack Stiegler, S-T-I-E. Well, here, I'll give you a card. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's
We have a hand for Jack. Thank you.